Hello. Hello. What king was here? What queen?
So we've had Queen Matilda, we've had Henry VII, Henry VIII, Elizabeth I.
This is where you're going to sleep this evening.
No! Oh my goodness.
You're going to have the whole keep to yourself tonight.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Staying the night in a 900-year-old castle was certainly an experience. But wow, the sense of rich history was all around. And the innovative restorations Jason and Demetra Lindsay have made to the medieval building are amazing. As I continue my visit to Hingham Castle, it's the Georgian period which inspires.
This, in 1719, was a brand new mansion.
Right.
I mean, this has become the generic building style for millions of houses.
And fascinating family connections to what could be the Bard himself.
He may have been the author of the Shakespeare plays. That might actually be the only painting of Shakespeare in existence.
When I married into the British aristocracy, it was the start of a wonderfully exciting journey. But it was also a little daunting. I became a Viscountess, and for an American girl from a small town outside Chicago, that was quite a shock.
I live with my husband Luke, heir to the Earl of Sandwich, and our family at Mapperton House in Dorset.
Living in a place like this is a joy, but also a challenge. And every day, we're aware that we're preserving a very special part of Britain's heritage. Mapperton has opened up an extraordinary new world for me, and I can't wait to share it with you all.
So if you love castles and manors and stately homes as much as I do, please join this American Viscountess as I journey into the British countryside in search of some of Britain's finest historic houses. After experiencing the drama of the medieval keep, now a focus for local events and weddings, it's lovely to be in the homely surroundings of Jason and Demetra's beautiful Georgian mansion.
So welcome to the house. This is
lovely.
where we live.
Oh my goodness.
And this is the hall. This is the heart of the house.
Now I can see the big sash windows. So
Yes.
this is, proper Georgian house. Remind me
Absolutely.
again when this was built.
1719.
So it's a little confusing because this is we used to be the front door here. It's all about status. So you'd travel for days, sitting in the back of a really uncomfortable carriage.
Sorry, how was that?
Can you do that again?
Anyway, not on a motorbike. So you turned up here pretty exhausted, and if you had made some money, you wanted everyone to arrive at the grand facade of the house. So that is the standard 7-bay Georgian Queen Anne period, which is we've got there. And you wanted everyone to look at the facade and come in here. This was a stone flagstone floor, very Georgian. And in about 1900, they decided to sort of turn it into more of a drawing room. So make it much more informal. And when we came here, my cousin had it, everything was desperate in the sort of 20th century, 1950s, post-Second World War, didn't know how to make any money.
So didn't live here, or did live?
She lived here, yeah. So it was great fun as
Yeah.
kids when we came here, because my father inherited it in 1980 when she died. So I was age 12 when we first came here.
Okay.
And it was pretty derelict. None of the curtains matched, all the colours were thing, all the roofs were leaking. And no one sort of came near the house. And in the 90s, I've got a huge family, and it was just a wonderful party house for my brothers and sisters. And my parents were very generous. They live in Dorset. So we'd
It's a
come
good
here.
place to live.
Best place.
What the eye doesn't see, the heart cannot grieve for.
Exactly.
Yes. But they were very clever because they hid all the china and everything in a room.
Right, they knew.
And yes,
There's
just
a lot of children, they're going to
and they were
have
firing
fun.
fireworks horizontally down.
So all we had to do was really sort of get the heart back. It wasn't destroyed. We found doors in the cellar, and we found panelling where the lift shaft had been in the cellar. it had been sort of kept, and there was enough furniture just to kind of still create this beautiful home.
Okay.
I inherited in '98.
Right.
We got married in '03, moved here in 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
And raised your family here.
Yes. So they've all been born here, which
Yeah.
is so lovely.
Oh my gosh, that is
Yeah.
lovely. And this is just even listening to this story right now is these stories just continue and continue. Your family, the original sort of your original descendants, if you like, were here 900 years ago because you do descend.
It's a bit mad. We were so related through my family, who are the Earls of Crawford and Barcarus. They're Scottish, but all the aristocracy in those days married each other, so
Yes.
they all kind of knew each other. So, and everyone was incredibly kind of possessive about who their children married. It was all sort of arranged marriages and
Yes,
stuff.
yes,
And amazingly, so we're related to the descendants of the guys who built this house,
yes,
and the Earls of Oxford who built the castle.
yes.
I mean, it's all quite distant, but we can actually trace it all the way back.
Exactly.
Both branches.
900 years, that's incredible.
Yeah. A lot of the good stuff got sold. All the Chippendale
Right.
got sold, and the Applewhite got sold, and the Gainsboroughs got sold. But we have got about 6 generations from the original Ashurst. He was Lord Mayor of London in the 1690s, and he bought this place for his second son.
Okay.
And the idea was, if he bought a nice old castle, it would kind of make the family look a
Elevate
bit
his
posher,
status.
elevate the status.
Yeah, right.
And people are frightfully rude about new mansions, but this, in 1719, was a brand new mansion.
Right.
And he had the old castle.
What did
and-
Walpole say about it?
Horace Walpole, who was
Yeah.
brother of the Prime Minister from Houghton.
And a commentator on
He was
online.
a social commentator, and he said Mr. Ashurst has bought himself a trumpery, a new house, and was very snobbish about it. But actually, classic Georgian.
Classic,
I mean, this
beautiful.
has become the generic building style for millions of houses
Yes,
across,
yes. It's so beautiful.
red brick, 7 bay, and they've got lovely height. The ceilings are
Such
sort of
gorgeous proportions. All the
15 foot.
rooms are
And the
such
paint color, you can see all the colorways, amazing, just lovely.
and it's got, private houses are so shabby chic. They've got a kind of worn out feel.
Yeah.
So it's not overdone, and it's had layers of history. So the fact the flagstones have gone is just a lovely thing. We've now got a parquet floor.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
I'm really glad, because otherwise it would be really cold.
Yes,
and
it
when
would
there's
be.
when there's a nice chip on the skirting, it's because someone's crashed into it with a bicycle,
Right.
rather than.
And that's a story.
Yeah.
And that's a story.
Another story.
Yeah.
That's a story. Well, lovely room. And then where else should we go?
Well, I think we should go into the Asha Room. And this is named after the family who built this house,
Okay.
this bit of the house. And this was the old Georgian dining room. But when we got here, it didn't look like this at all. It had dark purple walls. So when Natasha was born, and I couldn't really do anything other than look
Were you like,
after
this is the
tiny-
first room I'm doing?
Yes, and I was exploring Sudbury and came across Gainsborough silk, and eventually said to them, "Well, why do you have a sail rail?" And they said, "Because sometimes, the loom's not busy, or someone returns something that they didn't want, or
Jasper
change,
Conrad or something's done it for a
change the
London
colour."
club, does 2 colourways, doesn't like that one.
Yes.
They
Right.
keep the other one.
So I came home and thought about it. Always wanted a silk hung room. So anyway, I asked them if they would play ball. So they sold this to us at cost so that they could come and have parties and show off, which was so brilliant of
Bartering.
them.
We were so bartering
Yeah.
the idea that they would have a lovely party, but we wouldn't charge them. So we got 180 metres of silk.
Yeah,
No.
it was amazing. And Jay's, I think you got a stapler, didn't you?
Yeah, I got a sort of...
You hung this.
Yeah, well,
so-
Demetri
What?
sewed it together.
So you put battens out, and then you put sort of curtain interlining, so the room
Okay.
becomes white and a bit like a padded cell, and then you hang the silk. And this bit from here to here is actually 12 widths of silk.
I cannot believe you did this.
But literally, people,
And-
we have to put this up, which is perspex, because everyone with their sticky fingers,
Yes,
if they're
of
having a
course.
wedding here, go, "Oh, what's this?" And in fact, you can see that it's material.
Right. You stitched
But
all of these together.
with a machine.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but still. It's wow.
But don't you think it's beautiful?
It's
And this is a really
so-
ancient colour that Gainsborough gave us, that sort of lovely Georgian.
And it's very
gold.
18th century. So
Right.
this is, if you were stinking rich, you would have had silk on your walls, but not in. This has to be north facing, because it would last
Yes,
about
'cause
5 years.
it's pure silk.
It's
Right.
perfect.
Right, so it's
Yeah.
perfect, so you don't have the damage from the sun.
Yeah. This is a really fun painting, because everyone's frightfully rude about people with new houses, But the Ashers, who'd made a lot of money in London, turning up in their Ferrari
Look at that.
or their
Very
Chevrolet, with their brand new
Yep.
men with their horses and livery, brand new house, the ancient castle, and now it's all considered lovely, sort of tasteful, faded. But in those days, brand new
there are no
mansion,
trees.
you know.
You see, all the trees were all planted. You know, we get.
Yes.
You know, it's all brand new.
But it's a real insight into the Ashers, how it's self-important. I mean, this is a very snazzy phaeton or something, one of those really amazing carriages. And it's a fun sort of
That is
insight into
And
their
these
mind.
are the
Beautiful.
Ashers. This is, you know.
He was
Yeah,
Lord
so
Mayor of
I'm-
London.
Elizabeth.
So I'm surrounded by the
portraits,
ancestors
yes.
who built this house.
And then we've got Earls of Oxford here too. And then that one's quite fun. That's the 18th Earl.
Okay, so
And,
he's right before the Earls of Oxford die out. Is that
Yes,
right? 'Cause
that's
it goes
right.
to
Yes.
20?
It goes,
So it goes to
1703
20,
was the
yeah.
20th.
Okay,
He was the
okay.
18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his father was the 17th Earl of Oxford.
And actually,
Okay.
we should go and have a look at his scroll because we've got
So
that
you
to
have some
show
of you still have a lot of the archive, so it wasn't
Yeah.
destroyed.
We had some of
in
the
fire.
archives.
Well, that's another story. We'll tell you that when we
Okay.
see it because we bought it back.
Oh,
Which is
Yeah.
amazing. Let's go to the
Okay.
dining room and we can show you that.
fantastic.
So this is the dining room,
Beautiful.
which is actually in an earlier house. This is the sort of 17th century house. Been
Okay.
morphed into a Georgian house. And
Right.
our treasure in here is this incredible. It's not a fireplace. I mean, it is now, but this is a royal bed from Edward VI.
No.
And we've got the royal coat of arms there, and this dates to
Yes.
about 1540. He was a very young boy when he got the coronation. And the Earl of Oxford had his coat of arms, which is the boar, because it was the wild pig basically, on the helmet, which is amazing. And these are columns from the four-poster bed.
So when you were the Lord Chamberlain, you were given, as a thank you for organising the coronation, the bed, because there weren't any other gifts really
Well,
to be
the
given.
entire contents of the King's bedchamber, you've got the sort of silver bowls. And
After the
pewter bowls.
coronation,
Yeah.
they were just sort of giving it away. The king didn't want it anymore.
It
He
always went
used
to
it.
the Lord Great
It
Chamberlain.
was a way of
Did
saying
it?
thank you.
Yeah.
The incredible thing was that this was in the keep and it was moved to here to create this chimney piece in a sort of 1910 or something, really
Right.
just whiskers before the fire.
Yeah.
So it was
We would have lost
saved.
it.
Incredible. I mean, I love heraldry, so I love looking at coats of arms. I'm just seeing if we're related.
Well, we might be,
Yeah.
who knows? So we've got the flag, the De Vere flag here, which is still flying today. And this star was put on there when they were fighting the Saracens in one of the Crusades. And a star appeared, blinded the Saracens, and they won the victory. So that came back and was then put on his coat of arms. And we still fly it
Incredible.
today.
So
And we have
there
the
you
story
go.
of that, which
And
is
look,
That's
a bit
brilliant.
more heraldry for the heraldry person.
Yes, yeah.
You ready
I mean-
to receive
Okay.
this?
Love,
is,
love.
We
this
do
is-
Oh,
not-
am I going to fall off my perch
Yes,
here if I
this
say,
is
yeah, I am.
really special.
Oh my
This
gosh.
doesn't come out very often, I can
No,
promise you.
this is incredibly precious.
Okay.
So
I mean,
this
I just
is-
love heraldry.
This is basically the Earls of Oxford from about 1570 it goes up to.
Oh, it goes
I think-
up to. I thought you were going to
Yes.
tell me it starts at 1570, and
No,
I was
Yeah,
going to be
we've got
impressed
it.
with
That's
that.
perfect.
Yes,
Very
no.
nice.
So you have the 17th Earl at this end, but look who he's related to.
You've got the 17th Earl.
He's
wow.
in 1570,
What?
and he hasn't got any children at this point, so it
Okay.
dates it to 1570.
This was done for the glory of him. This was a purely egotistical,
No.
you know,
Well, this is
hurrah.
saying how posh they were as a family.
So this was
Yeah.
done in, what, 16th century?
1570.
Incredible. And
So it
this
shows
has
the-
survived.
Yes.
I found the lozenges, everybody.
Yeah.
I found them.
Okay.
We are related.
Okay, let's have a
Right
look.
there.
Ah,
Okay.
brilliant. We've got
Now.
the logo.
That's fantastic. Well, it also means that you are related to
We go back to there.
William the Conqueror.
Yeah, we are. We
is
have
there?
ours as well. Yeah, we are related.
Which
But you
is
go
rather
back
fabulous.
further. You go back quite a lot further then.
Well, what is quite fun
So
about
he's there, and then, you know, these guys are all...
This is so fun.
that's
Yeah.
William.
That's
and
William.
That's De Vere. Let's have a look. Married. Where is he? Here. That he married Beatrice, who was William's half sister.
Okay, I see. So that's where your line starts.
And William came
This.
over, obviously, 1066.
Yep.
Hedingham was taken in 1067-ish from Arwine, and he rewarded him because he'd married his sister, and he said, right, you can have
You can have the land.
You can have the lands.
And then it was his grandson who became the first Earl of Oxford.
And so who gave the title Earl?
So that was Empress Matilda.
Empress Matilda.
Oh, that was Empress Matilda.
There was a bit
During
of
the
a spat
time of the
going.
anarchy.
Spat
Okay.
going on.
Yeah, with King Stephen.
This is so much fun.
And it was a miracle this
Isn't
thing
it
came
beautiful?
back. It had been sitting under someone's chest for 40 years. They got divorced and they were selling the house, and someone spotted it, and the auctioneer got in touch with us and said, is this anything to do with you? And we said, yes, it is. And the lady was then going to sell it, and we had a chat to her and pulled some heartstrings, and she sold it back to us rather than putting it in auction. This ends with Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford.
Okay.
And he was the one who sold all the 74,000 acres. No one knows why. Ended up living in poverty in Hackney in London. But there is this theory that he may have been one of the authors or the author of the Shakespeare plays.
Which is why he needed some cash to build the Globe and things like that.
And there's a huge support all over the world, a lot of support in America, funny enough. And people...
And why? But why? Why has this come to light? Why do people think that? Or why
He
is
was
this
very
support
well
effort?
educated. He knew court.
Right.
So he knew all the stories of court. And, you know, there's an awful lot of the history plays and things that, you know, a teacher from Stratford probably wouldn't have known all that detail.
And would he have had access to the level of books that Shakespeare knew? His knowledge was so polymathish. I mean, he sort of covered, he knew about Italy firsthand. He just knew about the royal court. He knew about feudal families.
There are lots of bits of Virgil that are quoted in it.
Really?
So he was very intelligent and known to be a poet and things. And of course, you weren't allowed, because he was an aristocrat, to be an author or anything like that.
And on the back of the, in the first folio, which was the first 700 books ever published of the collection of Shakespeare plays, it says, look not at my face, but look at my words. And in every word spelleth my name. And Evere is Edward de Vere. Evere. In every word spelleth my name.
And Shakespeare,
oh my gosh,
the de Vere
we've probably got it here actually.
Is a hand shaking
a spear. Yeah.
No.
And there's so many, and you couldn't
Oh my goodness.
you couldn't be seen to be writing the plays because they were treasonable. And so if he was being really rude about the royal family, and then in which one is it? And he's a hunchback, you know. And
oh well, Burley is depicted as.
So it could be,
And it was treasonable. And the son-in-law of Southampton did get locked up for a treason against Queen Elizabeth.
Right, and beheaded.
Beheaded.
Yeah.
So he had to tread a very fine line, and he should have been a leading courtier with Elizabeth. And he ended up selling everything, and no one knows why it all went wrong.
And the really sad thing is we don't know where he's buried.
Really?
And we think it's in Hackney, don't we?
Yeah.
But we nobody's too sure because he sort of disappeared.
Right.
But the earldom continued.
Yes.
Through the chap that we saw in the Asha Room.
Yes. Okay. He was the 18th. Okay.
But it just sort of had lost its moment by that stage.
Yeah.
And there's not one manuscript, any Shakespeare play or sonnet in existence. Every single one was destroyed. And it's a very strange thing. And Shakespeare of Stratford, there's, I think, 4 or 7 barely literate signatures in his will. He never mentions a play, a sonnet, or anything. He mentions his second best bed being given to his wife. And there's just so many...
And his children couldn't write. So why would you, if you had that amazing legacy, why would you not teach your children to write?
So it really infuriates the people who support Stratford. And I think just debate it. I mean, even if it's not Edward.
Yeah, exactly.
And my father collected amazing paintings, and he collected that one, which might actually be the only painting of Shakespeare in existence. Because there's the Druselute engraving in the first folio, and this was lent to the Shakespeare Authorship Trust in Stratford for many years.
Okay.
And when my father died, we got it back. And they've now said, I mean, this is a Elizabethan man with a beautiful, very high status top. And it's been, it couldn't be proven. And it's now back and it's anonymous, but there's a number of versions of him. And why did they paint this man a lot? And it does relate to the engraving in the first folio. And there's something like 800 copies in the Folger Library in the States, because the Folger or whoever, some philanthropist. So we've got to collect all these. And they've got the biggest collection. And they're worth an absolute fortune each book.
Oh my.
And so there is the dusuk engraving, but that was done in the 1620s. And Shakespeare of Stratford died in 1615, and so it's posthumous.
Right.
And there is a mask. You can see that he can peel off a mask. And why would you do that as a
Very
portrait?
curious,
It's the strangest portrait when you look at it.
Right.
There's too much smoke and mirrors around it.
Yes.
So of course, it's really important to have the debate, and you have to be very sensitive because not everybody believes that. And actually, just when you go back to this incredible scroll,
It was amazing that he was having to prove himself in 1570, just saying, "Look at me, I am incredibly royal."
Look at
and this is a propaganda document.
Well,
So, quite fun.
that is super fun. So thank you.
Like Mapperton, Hingham Castle is a member house of historic houses. And in November 2024, Jason took on the role of president. Sitting in the garden overlooking that expansive lake, we discussed the incredible work and importance of the organization.
So Jason, historic houses is really, really important for the member houses, but also for the visitors to those houses that are open to the public.
It's an incredible association. I mean, it's been going for 50 years. It has 1,400 members, 300 open to the public. It is the most extraordinary kind of representation of private heritage in this country. And it was down to the likes of Lord Bewley,
Yes.
who lobbied the government, took over 1 million signatures to the Parliament and presented them to the government and said, look, these places are getting demolished. I mean, there was one a week being demolished. And we lost 2,000 at least between 1870 and 1970.
So in 100 years, 2,000 historic houses, stately homes, castles, manors were pulled down.
I mean, the damage, it was so shocking what happened in this country, and it was punitive taxation.
Yep.
And it was, inheritance tax kicked in 1909, people couldn't afford them, and they'd lost their purpose. They're sort of centres of these aristocratic families. But they've had to adapt, and historic houses and the membership are the most innovative and entrepreneurial owners you can imagine, and they're always come up with brilliant ideas. I mean, you're a great example of what people can do, thinking ahead of the box, and we're a lean organisation.
Yeah.
We've got an executive in London who work incredibly hard on behalf of the 1,400 houses, and it's unbelievable what they have achieved, raising awareness, getting a big membership to help support the association, and sharing these incredible places.
Exactly, and you mentioned that there's 1,400 sort of house members, and of those 1,400, heritage sites, 300, including Hedingham, including Mapperton, are open to the public. And that's also really, really important to be able to give this access, of course, to these visitors and let them enjoy what we've been able to enjoy. But also, I think it's really important, especially for Mapperton, I think Hedingham, is that we have these events, we've got this visitor income, and we need the visitors to come in to pay for things like the roof, the leaks. I mean, the restoration,
It is unbelievable.
nonstop.
I mean, a survey done very recently basically highlighted our backlog of repairs is £1 billion.
$1 billion.
And it's growing
pounds.
every
Yep.
year. And the only way we can do these repairs is by generating revenue
Yes.
from tourism and commercial events and property rentals. And we have to be absolutely ahead of time, sort of in working out what we can do with these places.
Yes, and so how many, Mapperton contributes to that repair bill because it's just ongoing. And I think as a custodian, you always have to think to yourself, I'll never be able to finish it all. But what you want to try to do is make it better for the next generation, and also make sure that you are preserving it so that visitors, those of us who do open to the public, they can still enjoy the house. We can have those events and it's not in disrepair.
It is extraordinary. The skills are dying out. So we absolutely got to keep, there's something like 34,000 jobs within the association that we employ people. So that's an amazing figure.
And that's from stonemasonry to...
Oh, that's staff and that's stonemasons. The skills that are involved, whether it's thatchers or stonemasons or glaziers or stained glass restorers or fabric repairs or painting repairers. And we've got to keep them alive because they will die out. And, we are waving the flag for that. but it's desperate. Trying to get people to come through, the apprenticeships are needed. So we employ a lot of people, that's great. We actually generate £1.4 billion for the UK economy. Wow. And when we say 300 are open, actually at least half of the 1,400 are open in some way.
Right, right.
Most are involved in a charitable way in the local town or the village. They care for the countryside, the woodlands, the footpaths, the cricket pitches. It's much bigger. That the reach of these estates is why this country is so incredibly beautiful. We have world-class built heritage. And we're very proud of it, but it comes at a price.
Yeah.
And a price is us working incredibly hard.
Yeah, I've seen what you and Dimitra have done while you've been here. I mean, I can't even believe the amount of work that you have actually done yourself. And I think there's been, in the past, 100 years ago, we wouldn't have touched really anything, we
people who walked around with their monocle, sort of, and not really knowing what's going on.
Exactly.
And they had nice rents from their estate.
Yes.
Hedingham is lost his estate. It's been sold to help pay taxation in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s. And we now are totally reliant on the income we can generate from weddings and from our visitors, our 25,000 visitors. And they're very fragile. That we have to, it's down to the passion of you and me and our incredible membership, the 1,400 houses. And they're quietly doing all the sort of tennis club fundraisers and the church fundraisers. Yes. And people are being very generous to them, and they never shout about it, but it's there. And it's something we should be really proud of in this country.
So looking forward to your presidency, which is 4 years,
yes.
What are some of your big ideas?
Well, I love the idea of, historic houses and association. Yes, we have about 85,000 members, and it'd be lovely to grow that. But I'd really also like to parallel grow the knowledge of the association, because we're all so passionate and these places are so incredible, but if people understand how fragile they are, often people turn up and think, well, they're stinking rich, they've got a big house, but they've no idea whether you've got a Rembrandt in the drawing room or whether you've got 500 acres, 2 acres or 1,000 acres.
Right.
And people just assume you do. And these places cost so much money to run. The running costs, the energy costs, the utilities, it's all against us at the moment.
It really is.
It's getting pretty scary, and I think a lot of places people will go, you know what?
I can't do it anymore.
I can't do it, and they could go on the market, and then we'd lose the public access.
Yeah, you can just look at that map, and you can see all of these wonderful, amazing, stately homes just dotted all up and down the UK.
Yeah.
Well, listen, congratulations. I'm excited for you.
Thank you so much. It's going to be fascinating, and it's a great honour for me to be doing it.
Yeah, it must be, and it's just, for me, a great honour to sit here and sort of pick your brain and see how the next 4 years are going to, hopefully, with your big ideas.
It's been a treat having an absolute master of your world, and we've learned an awful lot from you. It's been a wonderful couple of days.
Well, thank you.
Owners of historic houses across the UK are striving to adapt these ancient buildings and estates to become more sustainable. And together with vital restoration work, there is a constant need to innovate.
So we're desperate to sort of improve all our sustainability.
Yes.
And we've done solar, so we've got 42 panels on the roof of the main house.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. And we've got a biomass boiler, so
yes, we have
warm.
one of those. Well done.
And this is our latest project, which we cut a hole in a couple of years ago just to see what was under here. We knew it was a well, but we had no idea how big it was.
Okay.
And we're a little bit blown away by the scale of it. So
So
this actually goes down about 40 feet before you hit the water table.
Oh my, wait, so let me ask though, because at Mapperton, we are not on the mains, so our water comes from the springs, but are you on the mains here?
Well,
or is it from this well?
So the progression was that this was probably here in the Norman times, and the well's been made bigger, so using spring water. This has then been made bigger in the 18th century when they built the house.
Okay.
So it's 8 foot in diameter, this well. It's absolutely colossal.
Yes.
And then what happened, they went on to boreholes in the sort of 1950s.
Yes.
Which are here and there and everywhere. Then they had this brilliant thing of nationalised water, and everyone went on the mains if you weren't too far away.
Right.
And we thought, hang on, why don't we see, we've got to get it tested, but there is a vast kind of filter system of land. There is quite intensive agriculture, so you've got to be careful. all the fertilizers and pesticides. But if there is enough land to act as a filter, we may have got the most incredible castle water right under here.
That's right, and they've been using it since Norman times.
Well, here they've been using it since Norman times, and then they abandoned it all when they did the boreholes.
We did the boreholes in the 50s, and then obviously the mains. So are you thinking of, if this could work, that this could supply water, to the keep and to the house?
We think we probably, the well fills up pretty quickly. We've tested it. I built a ladder out of more South End pier because I'm obsessed by South End pier.
And you're such
so
a
we've got
carpenter,
a
it's
40-foot ladder, and then we've been digging it out a bit more. We've gone down about 10 feet, taking out rubble. Haven't found any swords, treasure, helmets. That's the next level.
Okay.
Keep our fingers crossed.
It's going to be down there.
And
sure.
we're hoping we're going to get to the bottom at some point.
Right. So you're not at the bottom. So
Not
can
yet.
I see where you are?
So let me tie you up first.
Okay.
We're very, very health and safety
safety.
conscious at
Thank
Hingham
you.
Castle. So let's wrap you around a couple of times.
Okay, a
If
couple
you
of times.
take
Okay,
that a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay, once more.
Once more.
Just to give me a bit of peace of mind.
Yep. Very
There you go.
good. Thanks, Jason.
And that's
and then
climbing.
hook it. Wait. Okay.
So just do that. Yeah, that's
Here,
brilliant.
I don't even.
Okay.
I don't climb.
You're not a climber?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, how's that?
I mean, I feel
Okay.
safe and secure now.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
You're not
I think
very, but you're quite.
Yeah, I think I'd pass out.
So
in
carefully
safety.
on your knees.
Okay.
And then have a look down there. Okay. I can turn on the lights down at the bottom.
Oh my goodness. Wait, there's another ladder down there.
Well, I've dropped
is
some
that?
ladders down because then I can be on, there's a shoulder
Yes, I see the shoulder.
about 40 foot down, which is roughly the water table.
Oh my gosh.
So that I can then lower the pumps
yeah.
down another 15 feet to then pump out the water to then get to the rubble. So that's what I'm removing at the moment.
But what's this contraption here?
Well,
This-
Heath Robinson was this cartoonist inventor and did some brilliant things. And we thought, how do you get oxygen? Because you don't want to get to the bottom and then find it a little
here.
bit lacking in oxygen.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it's super
this is
far
a
down
leaf
there.
blower. And we rigged it up to a pipe. And
no.
you got this. And it just, lovely oxygen all the way down. And you can kind of feel, you do this.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That
So
is super clever.
just makes you get a bit more energy.
And then what's this blue sort of
Well, that's
strap
what we've been using to pump the water out.
to pump the water out?
So it's got
Okay.
about probably 8,000 litres of water in the well, and then it fills up. Wells is all about how quickly they replenish.
Yeah.
And this fills up about 120 litres an hour. So, a cubic metre of water is 1,000 litres.
Yes.
And we've got to work out our usage here as to whether
Yeah.
it's feasible to use this.
To use this, right.
And also we have to get it tested
Yeah.
because public consumption, and that's twice a year. The council are very strict if you've got your own private well.
Yeah. But that's the hope.
Praying, and if we can raise some capital to do it, because it's very expensive because the water leaks because it's 300-metre pipe,
Right.
and then have our own system, our own filters, our own pumps, and it would probably taste delicious.
Yeah.
And there is a Norman well that we haven't opened that is stone lined, built in 1100. Wow. I suspect that's got some proper treasure down it.
That is it. That's gonna pay for this.
But to open it up is a huge logistical issue and safety and stuff. This is brilliant because we can just lock this trapdoor and
okay.
we, this is really safe.
What
so.
a fun project.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're off to next.
Where do you want to go? What are you in the mood for?
Well, I heard that there was some foundation of King and Queen Chamber.
Golly, well, the Great Brick Tower, as it's called on the 1600 map, which is where Henry VII stayed.
Right, so you still have
King's
those
Chamber and the
foundations.
Queen's Chamber.
Really?
And we went to Oxburgh Hall in Norfolk, and they knew the Beddington family, the Earls of Oxford, and I reckon they said, we'll have one of those, like Hampton Court and
Right. So you still
Eton
have
College.
the foundation? for
Well,
that?
it came out, it sort of appeared out of the ground, and it was a sort of lockdown project, and then we went, oh, this is quite substantial.
Can we go? Can
Yeah,
we go
let's
view?
go and have a look.
Okay.
This
This,
is it.
to me, is very exciting.
Yeah.
All right, give me the history and how this was uncovered
we had no idea how extensive it was, and we did a bit of strimming, and we suddenly realised it was actually a really pretty chunky foundation. We'd never really paid it any attention.
Right.
It was partly hidden.
Right, so it was there, and then you started doing some
It was kind of there, and
strimming.
we've got a drawing showing an 80-foot tower. So this was built in the 1490s with the bridge and the Tudor Palace and the Great Hall, the other accommodation towers. And this is the principal, 80 foot high, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And looked over one of the medieval deer parks, which is over there.
Okay.
You have to imagine it with no trees because of defence. You had to see where people were coming from. But by this period, England had calmed down a bit, and there weren't need for massive castles. So this was really a kind of luxury bit of accommodation.
Okay.
And if you compare it to Oxburgh Hall, which is very similar, 2 octagonal towers, one might have had a spiral staircase in it, one might have been the latrine, or you've got the King's Chamber and then the Queen's Chamber in Oxburgh. So we reckon we probably had 2 to 3 or even 4 stories. And it was the principal accommodation for VIP guests. So.
Oh my goodness, so who do you think stayed here?
Well, we know that Henry VII, when he came in the 1493 or something after Bosworth, he stayed here for a week, and we just have to assume that he stayed in the King's Chamber. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And it was the sort of, who would have been above him, I don't know, but you had everyone, you had probably 200 or 300 people here on site at that time.
Wow.
You had the minstrels, and you had the cooks, and you had the armourers, and you had the royal entourage that came with him. They were taking over the village.
Oh my
It'd have been an
goodness.
absolute bonfire of people.
It's just it's astounding for me just to imagine that right now.
Yeah.
That, that's what sort of 500 years ago, you would just have this entire entourage.
Yeah.
And
well, we wanted to celebrate, yes, we've got the Norman period, yes, we've got the Georgian period, but it's kind of odd to have a kind of 600, 700 year gap. So it's like, well, here we are in 1490, let's restore this. So we managed to get a grant, and we were allowed to stabilise it. We weren't allowed to dig down because the foundations go down massively underneath there and there.
Okay.
And we were allowed to go upwards with similar looking bricks, just to give people an idea of what was here. It's just going to age in time, but at least we've stabilised the bits that are underneath.
Yes, of course.
So there's extraordinary chambers, and we haven't actually dug them down. And there may be some fun things. Maybe Henry dropped something,
Well, exactly, because where do you think, though, the sort of ground floor began?
Well, it probably might have begun here. That might have all been foundation.
Okay.
And the reason that it was a square there was possibly because they just didn't want to waste too many bricks. It might be that simple.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And that might have been the octagonal staircase going all the way up.
Going all the way up,
And it might have been some useful storage space, but it makes sense to have it here. This is a later wall
right,
put here, but made up of Tudor bits of the Tudor castle, but mashed together. So there's vertical bricks. It's a right old hodgepodge.
Gosh.
Unfortunately, it's constantly rolling down the bank. You find chunks,
Amazing.
It's the whole time. That's a nice Tudor brick, but they're everywhere.
So when do you think, though, this was brought down, roughly?
So the 17th Earl of Oxford, as I said, he sold 75,000 acres, all his lands, all his castles, ruin. So he died in 1604.
Okay.
We know that Elizabeth was here in 1561, I think it was. So its glory days was sort of 1490, rebuilt for the next 100 years. It then sort of went downhill. I reckon everyone was robbing it. The De Veres weren't here.
Right.
And it was pretty ruined by the 1660s.
Okay.
So when Sir William Ashurst came along and bought it in 1713, he demolished all the buildings around, all the ruins.
Right, all the ruins.
He used them for the foundations of the Georgian house.
Right.
And kept that as a kind of picturesque ruin, really.
Yes, yes.
And we do actually have a plan of the foundations now. So we've got the ground radar.
Right, okay.
But what we want is to try and get some fundraising to do a 3-dimensional interpretation.
Yes.
So you can imagine what it would have looked like, but based on science, not on conjecture.
Yes, yes, totally. Brilliant. Wow, well, this is just absolutely fantastic to see.
Well,
and if you ever, do the sort of non-invasive dig, let me know.
Well, the moles do it for us.
Oh, okay.
And occasionally on the rabbits and the badgers. And then we
exactly.
find
And they're pulling things up.
we always go and investigate.
It's brilliant.
Hingham Castle is a fascinating mix of the medieval and Georgian periods, all infused with the style and interests of each generation who have called it home. What an extraordinary adventure it's been, and Dimitra had one more treat in store for me. a visit to the nearby historic weaving company, Gainsborough. Dimitra worked with them to recreate the Georgian dining room and the castle keep.
So let's go and find Diane. You're going to love this. This is so special. I'm so excited. And look.
Oh, spotted that.
The royal appointment.
That's right.
And look at this. Please ring.
Oh, look at that. You clever clog, or whoever designed that.
I know, isn't it amazing?
And
and here's Diane. Hi!
how are you? Oh, lovely.
Nice to see you. Hi, Julie.
Let's hug. We're gonna hug. We're gonna hug.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I just walked in and I saw that. So that has already overexcited me.
Absolutely.
But I had a peek in. Diane, this is the real deal.
This is a proper treasure trove.
Yes.
On a sort of epic industrial level, isn't it? It's just so exciting.
Oh.
Diane, would you be able to show Julie the archive and the looms?
Okay.
And how it all works?
Yeah, I mean, I love anything archive, but if you're going to show me archive material fabrics,
Okay,
I'm
we'll
in.
go there.
Okay, calm down.
I know. I gotta breathe. I gotta breathe through this. This is
exciting.
incredible.
I know. Come and see this.
No. Oh. I've just stepped into my heaven. Oh my gosh.
It's my heaven too. It really is. Poor old Diane has to put up with me all the time coming here.
Diane, I have so many questions. This is unbelievable. But first, okay, a little bit about you. How long have you been here?
I've been here for 33 years this year.
33 years. Do you love working here? Because I would love working
The
here.
fact that I'm still here would suggest that yes, I probably do.
And your dog loves working
Yeah, and
here
my dog
too.
work. My dog work. He's the second dog to work for Gainsborough, yes, but yeah.
I would love working here. So how old is Gainsborough Silk?
We were established in 1903.
Okay.
But we've been in these premises since 1924.
I want to just sort of backtrack a bit because with Dimitra, so you came here looking for sort of Georgian silk, is that right?
Yes. Well, I was exploring Sudbury, and Diane was kind enough to let me in.
There's not many people in
Yes, it was so amazing.
Did you walk in? Was your reaction the same as mine?
Totally. Which is why I said you had to come here, because it's just the most amazing place. And it's like this world secret, because what happens here is world class.
Yeah.
And this archive is just like the treasure trove of all time.
So this is where I am right now, Diane. I'm in kind of the,
This is the archive,
love archiving. So this is why this is my heaven. So this is the archive room, right?
Yeah.
So what do we have here?
Basically, these are the record books. So basically, every time we create a new fabric, we keep a piece and we record it in these books. And we mark in the books who it was woven for and the date it was woven.
Okay.
And then we also record how it was woven and keep all of the little pieces of yarns that we've dyed, and we keep them in boxes.
Right, so that's what these boxes
Well,
are.
these are fabrics, but up
Okay,
the top
these-
here, so some of these are 100 years old, these boxes, hence why they're a bit brown. But we've got more modern boxes stored somewhere else. So every single fabric is in those boxes with the fabric and how it's made.
And how it's made. And then does it reference, can I touch this?
Yes, of course, yeah.
So
yeah.
this is like archive, this is like my heaven. So can I ask, Diane, so who are you creating for? Is it, obviously a historic house, Hingham Castle.
We do a lot of historic houses. Yeah.
Right.
Most of our projects come from interior designers.
Okay.
Or the National Trust, the Royal Household.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of your damask is the quintessential beautiful English look,
definitely,
isn't it?
definitely.
I mean, this is where it comes from.
We specialise in weaving damask.
Yes.
Right, that's your specialty.
That's our specialty.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I just spotted one for St. James's Palace.
Oh, okay.
There we go. That's a little name drop. We're allowed to name drop. aren't we? We've established that.
And that was wow. I mean, just it's absolutely exquisite. You've got the Ritz Hotel. I mean, I would just spend all day here. Is it so how do these, I guess, sort of fabrics, damask, how do they come to be? Does somebody come in here and say, this is the colors we're looking for?
Yeah,
or-
generally there's a period or a style of design, so they want either 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century design.
Right.
They have a colour scheme in mind.
Right.
And the quality. And the
that's
quality.
My bedroom curtain, isn't it? That one.
Look at that one.
There's the Westminster.
Yeah.
Oh, and I got it.
Yeah.
I just happened to come across it. That was not a fluke.
I recognise that well.
So they come in here and they say, right, we're looking at sort of Tudor or Georgian, and we want these
I think
colors.
a lot of times there's a colour.
There's a colour.
There is a colour scheme.
Right.
But we can bespoke. We dye everything to match.
This is
the original.
1964, and it's bright lime green.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful thing.
It's
isn't
wonderful
it?
just to see that.
Shows fashions.
It
through
does,
the
it does,
ages.
it does.
It does, and it helps designers to come here to see the colours that were being used, because they've only got black and white images generally to
Right,
go from.
right.
You've seen that, won't you?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's
And-
interesting.
It's just, you've got Hampton Court Palace spotted it. This makes me happy.
And if someone needed to replicate something that they've had on the wall for 50 years, and
Yes,
then
we
it's
can do
faded,
that.
Right,
and
so
you need to
I
do it.
Yeah,
see.
that's what we
So then
specialise in.
you can do it again.
Yes.
Because they've got exactly all the notes, haven't you?
Yeah.
Just
Plus,
all-
also we can go
colours.
to historic houses and we can trace the design on the wall if it's damaged or something. And we can recreate it from that. Yeah.
So interestingly enough, so our family ancestral seat was sold in 1956, but we have a lot of the fabrics.
Oh, wow.
And probably need to be recreated, I think. They're too damaged, a lot of them. So if I brought that in, I could say, I want something similar.
We could
to
do it
this.
exactly the same. Yeah.
You could do exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We'll probably use the same techniques that we used when it was woven originally.
Of course.
So, yeah. We do everything
Which
here
just
by
makes
hand,
it so special, doesn't
Yeah.
it? Because
I
you're not...
I want to cry right now. I am so happy. I didn't even know these places existed. You know, the American me, I didn't know. I always wondered when I looked at these fabrics, I thought, how am I going to repair and restore them? Because some of them are too far gone. And yet you're telling me I could just bring them in and it would be done the exact same way. So Dimitra, when you were showing me around your Georgian house, you obviously got fabric from here, but it's also in the keep, is that right?
That's right. Diane was incredibly helpful when it came to the Royal Chamber, because we went to your pre-made rail section,
yes,
didn't you?
yeah.
And we were pulling things out, and it's just like another treasure trove. And we were pulling things out, and Diane was going, no, that doesn't go so well with that one, and that one's not Tudor enough. No, that's too Georgian, and it's too late. And you know, we need early. So we had such fun, didn't we? We were putting them all together. And then we need a bit of green, because it was all getting a bit pink and blue, wasn't it? And you need the green cushion in the room, don't you? Or the other thing to make it look a bit, you know, like it's not been done.
Exactly.
And it was such a nice process. It was such a nice thing to do. And I came back with sort of reels of it in the garden.
Oh, yes, more, but yeah.
That is amazing. So you know your fabrics and you kind of know the period. So you 33
There's
years.
nothing she
just
doesn't know.
I pretend.
Yeah, she knows a little tiny bit, don't you?
I know a little bit.
So have you seen the Royal Chamber? Because I spent the night there.
Haven't yet.
You haven't yet.
Dimitra has invited me many times.
You must go.
I will go. I
because
definitely will go.
it's like it's almost like you can't believe that you're spending the night where, you know, kings and queens have visited or spent the night. Henry VII. You just think, how am I staying here? Yeah. It's and the curtains, by the way, are fantastic.
Oh, well, that's the main thing.
But can we head out there
we can
and
go
see
the looms? Yeah, no problem.
the looms?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And the amazing noise they make,
Oh,
which is one of
it's
my most
incredible.
tingly feelings. So have a look at all of this. Isn't it amazing?
I mean, my jaw is to the ground
The
right
history
now.
here is fantastic. And this is Colin,
Hello.
who is the
Hi.
head loom
Hi.
Extraordinaire, genius.
extraordinaire. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
There's nothing that, you know, weaving can do with it he doesn't know how to do.
Can you tell me, Colin, just a little bit more about the work that you do here? And, you know, I look all around, there's a lot of machinery, there's a lot of, these are the looms and how old they are. There's a lot of questions, I'm sorry. I'm just like obviously so overly excited to be here.
The looms are up to about 100 years old.
Right.
But we've got about 3 newer ones.
Okay.
Well, the newest one's about 5 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been working here nearly 40 years, and
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is unbelievable that we're looking at machines that are almost 100 years old, still working today. Do you feel that they're more reliable than the new machinery, or is it they're just so good that that's why you continue to use them?
no, they're more problematic.
Yes.
But we do weave
but they
things.
do weave things better than modern.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's
That's the
we
key
can't,
to it.
What we can't reproduce on the newer machines.
interesting.
It's finer, it's closer together, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just better material.
It's just better material.
yeah.
Then, of course it is. So what are you working on here? It's beautiful.
It's a silk warp
Yep.
and 2 ends of cotton
Right.
for the weft.
Okay.
And
Can I see you
so-
have a...
do you want to see it weaving?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
This is
Just wait for
I
the
mean, this is
noise. The
unbelievable.
noise is just so evocative of past times.
right. That's what it is. Oh my gosh!
No. I think the shuttle goes up and down, and then something else pushes it.
Right. Okay. So you can see he's watching it the whole time.
It's really gorgeous seeing the pattern arise.
Yeah, it is. It's almost it's mesmerizing.
Yeah, so this is all twinkling round.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah. It's astounding. There we are. How about that?
That was amazing. Oh my goodness, Colin. No, now I understand why you wear headphones. So you don't walk out of here every single day with ears ringing.
After 40 years, I think I'll be pretty deaf.
Yeah, no. But yeah, exactly. That's incredible. So when you're weaving, how many meters are you making per sort of design?
Or per day.
Or per day,
Per
yeah.
day on this one, you're probably doing about 15 metres.
15 metres.
Because it's a higher pick wheel, it's possible to maybe do 20 metres
20 metres.
on a different design.
Right.
So that shows how special it is.
Yeah,
doesn't
that
it?
is just unbelievably special. Well, thank you so much. And
welcome.
thank you so much for giving up so much of your time just so I could just sit here and be, oohing and awing the whole entire time. So thank you. Thank you so much. Brilliant. And thank you.
Totally mesmeric. Thank you so much, Colin. It's lovely to
Thank
see
you. So nice to meet you, Colin. Thank you.
And you. Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.
It's been such a wonderful visit to Hingham Castle, and one I will never forget. Having supper and spending the night in the ancient keep where kings and queens have stayed, to hearing how the 17th Earl of Oxford could have been William Shakespeare himself, I've enjoyed every moment. I hope you have too, and if you'd like to support these high-quality productions, do consider becoming an American Viscountess patron. Here you'll get early access and extra content to all of the episodes, as well as a community of like-minded people who love castles, manors, and stately homes just as much as I do. Thank you so much for all your support, and I look forward to seeing you soon for another very special historic house visit. Bye, everybody!